All right, so we'll move to communication, and no one has signed up. So we will move on to superintendent's recommendations and reports. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Birding. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Martin to cover the items listed under Personnel Professional.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Birding, members of the board, I have quite a few items for you this evening under Personnel Professional. Item number 1, resignations, letters A through J. I will mention that 2 of those are retirements. Susan Lindberg was recognized earlier tonight. She's worked in Fairfield for 22 years. She served as our kindergarten center principal for a span of time and has worked as an intervention specialist here at the high school. She has 42 total years in education. She served 20 years in California before she moved here, so she's had a great career. And the other retirement is Stephen Smith. He's a freshman school intervention specialist. He's worked 15 years in Fairfield and a total of 21 years in education. So we'll miss both of these outstanding educators. Item number 2, extracurricular correction for the current school year, letter A. Item 3, unpaid leaves of absence, letters A and B. Item 4, employment, letters A through C. Letter D, secondary summer school principal. Letter E, special education extended school year. Letter F, academy extended school year administrator. G, academy extended year teachers. H, elementary summer school tutoring principal. I, elementary summer school tutors. And J, extracurriculars for the 2021 school year. Letter K, substitute teachers for the current school year. L, non-renewal of substitute teachers for the current school year. And finally, letter M, a volunteer for the current school year. That concludes the items I have for your consideration this evening under Personnel Professional.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept those recommendations.
So moved.
I heard Mrs. Shorter and then Mr. Clark. Any questions or comments? Okay, Mrs. Lane, you call the roll, please.
Mrs. Shorter? Yes. Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes,
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum? Yes.
motion passes.
Mr. Birding and members of the board, I have the following items for your consideration under Personnel Support. Letter B, number 1, resignations, letters A through D. And I would also like to point out that each one of those letters A through D, they are retirements. So we certainly wish to thank those individuals for their service and look forward to honoring them next year at our retiree recognition ceremony. Number 2, unpaid leave of absence, letters A through F. Number 3, employment, letters A through F. And number 4, promotion, letter A. And that concludes the items that I have for your consideration under Personnel Support.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept those recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Begley and Mrs. Gundrum, any questions or comments from the board? Okay, Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes, motion passes.